So here we are with my buddy Carl, who's actually kind of one of my bad influences on life, who's gotten me into the Kawasaki triples, and he's really helped me out a lot. He's been a big mentor of mine. But here we've got a bit of a Franken bike that Carl's put together. I don't even want to begin to explain what this is because it's a little bit of everything. So I'm gonna let Carl kind of take it over, explain to you guys what this monstrosity is and what it's all about.
I kind of cleaned this bike up. It was actually built by a person in Canada, Bill Sargent, who is a mechanic at Claire's, a snowmobile mechanic and motorcycle. He had a wrecked, I believe it was a Yamaha Exciter 540, and a wrecked Yamaha DS7 motorcycle, and he put the two together with very limited resources. Fantastic engineering. The paperwork that came with it was amazing. When I purchased it, I painted it, did the seat. John Miller upholstered the seat in Canada. It wasn't ever going to be safetied in current laws in Canada, so living in New York State, I always heard of this bike and was always interested in it, and I think they wanted me to have it, and I consider myself a part-time custodian of it. I would hope that it goes back to Canada someday. It's very interesting to drive. No clutch, it just screams. It wants to lift the front wheel. He has it engineered for 120 mile an hour top speed. I've had it not that fast, but pretty close to it, and never again. But it, it is in New York State. I've never tried to get it inspected. I don't ride it very much, but I do love the thing. Very noisy because it's constantly running about 3,000 RPM. So it's not with a clutch where it's idling. When you're at traffic, it's noisy. If you're going 10 miles an hour or 50, it's about the same noise.
Wow. So you don't have to explain if you don't have to, or if there's some fancy loophole, but how did you get a plate on it in New York State?
Just went to motor vehicles, gave them the Canadian ownership, and filled it out, and that was all that was required because it's earlier than the 1972 motorcycle. Okay. It doesn't have a title. It's a transferable registration.
Yeah, that's wild. So as far as they're concerned, this is a stock Yamaha twin.
Yes. Maybe not after today. It runs a battery in it for the lighting because it just has the AC snowmobile ignition system, so that basically only runs the headlight. Turn signals and stoplight are a battery.
Now I gotta ask, with the snowmobile clutch on the left side here, how many pairs of pants or boots have you gone through?
One set of boots, pair of pants, and a lot of blood.
Actually?
Yes.
Oh no. What happened there?
It kind of jumps when you crack the throttle.
Okay.
And it got away from me a little bit.
Uh-oh. And nipped your toes?
I need to make a guard for it, but I like that you can see how the centrifugal clutch works.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful with it. It has to be on the center stand in order to start it, because if you start it with your hand on the throttle, it will leave you. And it's kind of difficult to pull the rope in order to start the snowmobile engine while you're sitting on the bike.
I love how you invited me to come ride this thing before you told me how it could hurt you.
If you
what are you trying to do to me
if you rode that 400 mini bike, this is going to be no problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The rear sprocket, so that's abnormally large, and that's just to compensate for the snowmobile clutch then?
Yes, because of the RPM. In fact, the interesting thing, because it's a 540cc snowmobile engine, it does not rev as high as a 3-cylinder would. To do this with a 3-cylinder bike, it would be impossible to gear it down and have it have enough power in the driving range that you would need. I have seen other people with snowmobile bikes on YouTube, and if you notice, they rev them, they have a hard time getting them moving because the power band comes on about 12,000 RPM, where this is more of a standard two-stroke, two-cylinder bike with of that displacement where it will peak out about 6,000 or 7,000 RPM.
Nice.
Which makes the gearing possible.
Awesome.
I have to really give credit to Bill. He did a fantastic job on this.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of attention.
Oh, I can imagine. I remember seeing it at a couple shows, and it's always one of those like double take bikes where at first you're like, oh, it's cool, but then the deeper you dive, the more you look at it, you're like, what's this? What's that? Like everything on it's just wild.
Yeah. The only thing I think this is a Kawasaki H1 tail section that I narrowed 1.25 inches. Somebody gave me a Buell tail light for it.
Oh man. It was somewhere a triple enthusiast just rolled over.
So it does have the good Kawasaki
tail
parts on it.
That's awesome. That is far out. Well, whenever you get that belt guard made up, let me know and I'll come down to test it out for you.
Yes, I could take the video of you riding it.
Might be the last video of me ever filmed. We'll see. Hopefully not. At least with 2 legs. At least with 2 legs, that's right.
It keeps you nervous about cornering, but it's not too bad. The pipe on it is the factory performance snowmobile pipe.
Okay.
He tried to put twin expansion chambers on it, but they didn't make as much power.
Yeah.
And there's really no place to go with them with the clutch.
Okay. Wow. That's wild. It's certainly an impressive build, and I remember seeing it at before you bought it in the original state that it was in, and then to see how it came now with all the added work to it, it's pretty spectacular.
The big goal was to have, he had a standard, I think it was a Yamaha RZ350 seat.
Okay.
And the goal was to build a seat to put you further up on the bike to keep the front wheel down.
Oh jeez, that's insane. It's funny too, like it's old, it's still rough around the edges, but out of this lineup, it's arguably the fastest bike here, which...
up to about 100 miles an hour, it holds its own.
Yeah.
I think I've been with somebody with a Suzuki 1100, and we were pretty even, so it's not suicidal, but it's quick.
That's so mighty quick, especially for... What year would the frame be? 71? 72?
For the frame is a 69.
69, okay.
Yes.
So yeah, for a bike that's...
And I believe the motor is about an 87.
Okay.
And it's been modified with twin flat slides versus the standard single carb that the motor would have had. Plus I believe he did some tuning on the motor to make it even more powerful.
Dude, that's the last thing this thing needs. So, well, thanks very much, Carl. I'll have to come down in the summer and see what this puppy can do, because I don't think they'll let us tear down the carpet here at the show.
I'd like to.
Maybe when we're closing up tonight, we're going to take it out.